it was probably about a year ago that my friend Chip showed me this video of Dana White talking about a 3-day water fast.
Yeah, it was back. It was last May, April, May.
And it was Dana White talking about a water fast he did for 3 days. He showed a before and after picture of his physique. He said that he took bone broth or something, which doesn't have 0 calories in it, so I don't really know.
It's low calorie, though.
Whatever.
I don't know what it is.
But long story short, he's saying all these health benefits come with it, this, that, and the other thing, and that he feels great.
So we decided to give it a try.
And my friend Chip's like, you know what? Maybe we should try it. Like, that sounds terrible.
Yeah.
We should try it. And I thought about it for maybe, at this point, a year. And I was like, do I want to do it on a weekend, weekday? What would happen? Can I go 3 days without eating? That sounds terrible. That sounds scary. Now that I work in a trade, should I be climbing up ladders without food in my system?
Probably
Bunch
not.
of questions. And then I was thinking, I was like, I don't really care, actually. I'm going to try it because
I'm just going to do it.
It just seems like it'd be uncomfortable and I could use it right now. So you hear about all the health benefits. You hear about decline in Alzheimer's, however you pronounce it, cancer, all this stuff. But there's also little benefits to it, like focus and energy and mental and weight loss, like things that you can physically feel or see in the process. So that's kind of what I was more interested in. I wasn't really interested in
it's how is this going to make me feel?
Yeah.
How can I do this sort of thing? So we decided to put it to the test.
Yeah, so we decided to try it. So Drew and I this week did a 3-day no food, all water fast.
Yep.
And
it sucked.
I think we should start with how did it make us feel?
Slow. It made me feel sucky.
It made me, yeah.
It was definitely weird because I was like the first day I was like, okay, I want to eat something. And the second day I was like, okay. And the third day I was like, yeah, I gotta eat something. But like the first day I remember I felt a lot of hunger pain. At least when I woke up, I got to like lunchtime and I'm like, man, I got to eat something. I remember that day too. I always watch Doug DeMuro when I eat. So I remember watching a Doug DeMuro video that day and just all I could think about was like a sandwich. I was like, I have 48 more hours of this. Yeah. I was like, I can't, how am I going to do this?
There were times where I felt a little slow, and just fatigued, obviously, because you've got no food in your system, especially towards the end of the day. But when I felt the most fatigued is actually when I was just sitting around not doing much. If I was moving around, working at the gym, exercising, I didn't feel that tired, which funny enough is usually how I operate with food in my system. So that I didn't really see much of a fluctuation.
Yeah, I think that's just in general how people are.
I know some people who aren't like that.
you spend energy and you get energy back. It's kind of a weird thing.
It's how the universe works. But it made me realize how much I like eating, for sure.
Yeah, and that first day we started, Dean and I woke up at 6 a.m. and went for a 4-mile run.
Yeah.
I ended up that day burning 1,500 calories.
I think I burned 17.
Yeah, there was nothing in my system. I was burning nothing.
Yeah.
It was just a vacuum of calories. But yeah, the first day was fine. I was just kind of upset that I couldn't eat. I really wanted to eat and couldn't do it. And then the second day came and I somehow felt foggy and focused at the same time. Like I felt productive and unproductive at the exact same time, and I couldn't explain to you why.
But yeah, I would have to agree. I was kind of just thinking about how much I wanted to eat. I was thinking about this, that, and the other thing, work, YouTube channel, all sorts of stuff. So I don't know. I think though that benefit kind of kicked in a little bit afterwards, the whole mental clarity thing.
I can't say during the fact, especially on the third day, I was not mentally clear.
No, it takes time.
I was pretty foggy on the third day. Like all I could really think about was 9 p.m. and when I could eat a sandwich.
Yeah. The third day was just, I mean, honestly, the third day I could have went for a fourth day. Like I was just existing at that point. I wasn't really one way or the other. Like it just is what it is at this point. So I don't know. For anybody out there, for context, I am a 5'8", just shy of 5'9". I may be 5'9". I don't know. We'll have to get an official on that. But I'm about 5'9", about 160 pounds prior to the fast. So I'm pretty healthy, I guess is what I'm trying to say, going into it. So it didn't really take that big of a toll on me. But if I was somebody who was out of shape or somebody who was very thin, if you're very thin, this is not a good idea. Don't do it if you're very thin.
No, yeah, you got everything. You actually got nothing to lose, but like in a bad way.
You literally have nothing to lose, so don't do it. But for people out there who maybe aren't sure if they should do it or not, definitely consult somebody who knows things about health. Don't consult us. I don't know anything about health.
Don't listen to us. We're just telling you our experience. But yeah, I think a lot of the benefit came after the fast. After I had my 9 p.m. sandwich is when I felt the weight of the world off my shoulders. Like I felt pretty clear the next couple of days. Like I felt a little bit more productive. Today I went for a run and it was my quickest run of the year. So I don't know if that's a result of the fast or just also the fact that the roads weren't icy for once.
I will say, in terms of muscle loss, didn't really experience anything. So if you're afraid of losing mass while doing this, I would not be afraid, especially if you are exercising during. Keep the exercise light, though, because your body doesn't have any way of rebuilding itself. You're not consuming anything. So if you're going to exercise, keep it nice and light and don't go too hard.
Go for a walk or something.
Yeah, keep it easy. But didn't really experience much muscle loss. Definitely shredded some good fat that I needed to shred, which was cool.
And I also found that fasting after the fact, like between meals, isn't that big of a deal anymore.
No, it's much easier.
And I don't have to eat as much to feel full.
Yeah.
Which is good because I can eat a lot of food.
I would agree. Some added benefits. Like usually when I get home from the gym, especially late at night, I'm hungry. I'll get a bowl of Cheez-Its or I'll make a sandwich or something. But now, even if I'm hungry, it's like, I went 3 days, I can go 3 hours. It's not a big a deal. I'm just going to ride it out because I know intermittent fasting is very popular. It's a very popular concept. And for those who aren't aware of intermittent fasting, it's when you fast for 16 hours and then there's an 8-hour period during the day that you can eat. So, from 12 to 8, you eat. And then from 8 to 12, you don't eat anything. So,
there you go.
There you go. That's intermittent fasting for you. But that concept has become a lot easier since not eating for 3 days, which is nice. And I would say too, sleeping it's gotten better since before. When I was fasting, funny enough, my sleep wasn't that great. I don't know.
No.
I don't really know why. I didn't sleep that well when I was fasting. I don't know if it had anything to do with the fast or if it just happened to be a couple of days where I just wasn't sleeping very well, but there you go.
I don't know. Yeah, above all, it was just more of a challenge. It was like, can I do this? And just kind of added another thing onto the resume of things that I have done.
I will say that I feel like after the fact, my mood has increased. I've been in a better mood, and I do feel like there are certain things that prior to maybe got under my skin a little bit easier or stressed me out a little bit easier, but since don't really affect me that much. And I don't know if that, again, this is all just me speculating. I don't know if it has much to do with the mental clarity or the brain fog clearing, but if something happens, it just kind of rolls off my back and I just move on. So whatever. I'm going to go ahead and attribute that to the fast. I'm not a doctor, so don't quote me on that.
But there's really not a lot of research on water fasting. There's not a lot of, it's a lot of speculation of like this, you might lower your blood pressure and you might avoid cancer. There's like not really a lot of
at least the
concrete stuff. Long-term stuff out there. So it is just kind of a lot of speculation and, different folks experience different results and outcomes. So do with it what you will. But yeah, we did not eat food for 72 hours.
And now you might be asking yourself, why on earth would you do that to yourself? And you are far from the only person who's asked that question, actually. And to answer your question, there's a few different answers. Number one, it's a challenge. I have a strong belief that any man who can go 3 days without eating has a good grasp on self-control.
Yeah.
If you can control yourself and not eat for 3 days, that's pretty good. Now, I will say, too, for me personally, I love eating. Eating is more than just survival for me. It's an activity. It's fun. Yeah. I watch my YouTube. I go out and I enjoy food with friends. Like, eating for me is an activity and a pastime sometimes. So for me to take a step back and not do that, it is a self-control thing. And I also recently deleted Instagram. So I guess it's kind of a fast. I'm fasting from all sorts of things that used to give me pleasure, so to speak. And I feel like between Instagram and the food, a lot of mental clarity has come from that too. It's not just the food. And you don't realize how much time you have when you cut out distractions.
Yeah, it's actually crazy. I've experienced the same thing. Like my main Instagram's gone, and you don't realize, like you said, how often you just sit there and scroll, and then
It's a
once
lot of
that
time.
scrolling's gone, it's like you're just standing there, like just standing in your kitchen, like, okay, what now?
Yeah, and it forces you to be productive. And
Yeah,
I'm
find
not
something to
saying
do.
eating is a distraction, but snacking is, and going out to eat is, and those types of things. So taking a step back from that, you not only realize how much money you're saving, but how much time that you have on your hands, and that forces you to be more productive. I do feel like those 3 days, I don't feel like I actually know during those 3 days, I was extremely productive. Just practicing the piano, going for walks, working, editing videos, talking to people. Like you feel a lot more productive, and that
Yeah,
was definitely not a benefit that I expected. It's also a mental challenge, like
it's a challenge on all fronts.
physical, mental, the health benefits too, self control, emotional control is what I mean by mental.
Yeah,
There's all sorts of control involved that you're trying to prove to yourself that you have.
yeah, and not eating for 3 days is a great way to prove that.
Not eating for 3 days is tough.
Yeah,
I would say.
it sucks. It was tough.
So if you're out there and you're thinking, man, that sounds terrible, I want to try it. Make sure you're healthy enough to do it.
Yeah,
Make sure you're not 100 pounds soaking wet and you'd be in the ICU if you
gotta
tried
have
it.
some meat on your bones if you're gonna do it.
Make sure that whatever you're doing for work doesn't require you to be very physically demanded of.
Yeah,
Very important.
you're
And
not crawling through attics like we are.
make sure that you have good reasons to do it. Don't just do it to not eat or
Yeah,
get
don't do it to
attention or
lose
something.
weight.
Yeah, don't
Do
do it to
it-
lose weight. That's a bad idea.
Do it to prove to yourself that you're a man. You're a man and you don't need food.
So there you go. That was our experience 3-day water fasting. I hope that helped.
Yeah,
All
thanks.
right, let's move on.
Commentary.
Welcome back. Now, today's a special day.
It is a special
I
day.
am formally making an announcement that today the dash from commentary disappears, because when we started the show, commentary was supposed to be we'd find a comment or a quote, we'd read it, and then we'd talk about it. Since we've started commentary, I think we've done that maybe twice.
It's hard with a quote to go on for a couple minutes. I mean, unless it's like that deep of a quote, but a lot of the times it's like I can say a couple things about it, and then it's like, okay.
So the pun is done, the dash is gone, and now it's just commentary. It's just
Yeah.
the word. So we're going to commentate on this video.
Yeah, because I think a lot of folks our age could relate to this. So we'll play it and then we'll talk about it.
Go for it, Brandon.
Excuse me. But you are absolutely beautiful. I would love to take you one of these.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
So for those who can't see it, this guy's in a diner and he's sitting by himself eating a hamburger. He sees these two girls sitting in a booth across from him, and he thinks that the girl's very attractive. So he goes over there and he asks for the girl's number. The girl gives it to him because she's flattered. This guy just approached her, and it's set in an older time. So this is
Yeah,
years
it's
and
probably
years
like
and
the
years ago.
80s or 90s.
Yeah, so it's supposed to be
It
from
looks like the 80s.
yeah, it looks like maybe the 80s. And he gets the number. He sits down at the table. He's looking at it. He's smiling. And then when you hear the music slow down, it cuts to a guy sitting in his room in the dark on his phone. So the note becomes his phone, and on his phone is him just swiping on Tinder. And
Yeah.
it's supposed to display the change between dating culture from say 40 years ago to now.
I do want, before we say anything, I want to shout out this guy, Kyle Nutt. That's who we got this video from. Give him the credit where credit's due.
Yes,
He
we'll link it in the
he
description.
makes really good videos, and they're short, they're sweet, but really good production. So shout out him. If you're not already, go check out his channel. But it's cliche and it's stupid and whatever, but we're right in that age demographic where that kind of hits home, because I feel like everybody knows somebody on a dating app.
Yeah.
That's kind of where the culture's turned, and it does kind of feel like that, where people used to be a lot more approachable, I think. whereas now people are usually buried in their phones, or they got AirPods in, they don't want to be bothered. And maybe part of that was COVID too. I feel like post COVID, that's kind of become more of a thing. But yeah, it kind of nails that home.
I think approachability has decreased for sure with AirPods and phones and that, but I also think two things can be true at once. People are on dating apps. People are sick of dating apps. And I've been saying this. I have no data to back this up necessarily. This is just my pure intuition. I genuinely think that the time for Tinder and Hinge and all the dating apps like dominating the dating world, I think that that's limited. I don't think that that's going to be a long-term thing, and I really think that there's going to be a return of people who crave stuff like this.
Yeah. I mean, I just know for one, like if somebody approached me in public like that, like I'd love it. I feel like I'm not a one-off. There's surely more people out there like that.
Yeah, you're far from alone.
Yeah, but it's tougher these days because of phones. Like everybody's staring at their phone, and it's harder to approach people. It just is what it is.
I guess it depends on where you're at. I mean, like I said, I just feel like that you're far from alone, and most people feel that way. And there will be a return of people going back to stuff like this. And I was listening to a podcast the other day, and what they were talking about is how religious texts, so Bibles, Qurans, Torahs, all that sort of stuff, specifically the Bible, sales have increased like 70% in the last, 10 years or something like that. I forget the timeline, but Bible sales are up significantly. And the reason I point that out is because we've been in an age where the internet is so dominant and dopamine is so accessible, where it's fun for a while, just kind of riffing around and looking at things and laughing or whatever. But eventually you get to a place where you want purpose and you want meaning, and you want something tangible and substantial and something that you can hold on to and drive purpose from. And that's when you get people turning towards God and the Bible. And I mean, you've probably seen it. I've seen it. There's been a lot more of that sort of philosophy going around lately, is people turning to that and going to church and that sort of thing. And I really think it's a result of just how things have been the last couple of years, with just how accessible dopamine is and how pointless things seem.
I mean, back to kind of how what the video depicts, I'm not even sure if dating apps have dominated dating. Because I know a couple people on dating apps, but not really a ton. You know what I mean?
I'd probably say I know a couple for sure.
Maybe it's just our friend group. Maybe it's just my own echo chamber. But I like where the video is coming from, those that things have just become so online and just so like, because back then, and what he's depicting there is that, it took a real man, right, to get up and approach that girl and be like, hey, I like you. But now it's like you see that same girl on a dating app and it's just, whatever, swipe. And it's not like that. There's no purpose behind it. There's no meaning behind it. It's just swipe, swipe, swipe.
Yeah, but I guess my take on it is just forget about that and approach people. I don't know. Like people, we're social creatures. People want to be approached, and people like that interaction. Not every approach is going to go well.
Yeah.
And obviously make it make sense. Don't approach people at weird times, be smart about it. But I genuinely think that this is still a game-winning strategy, but because people are so afraid to do it because of how much the internet has progressed and all that sort of stuff, it's just become so rare.
Yeah.
But I don't think that this isn't a game-winning strategy.
Yeah. No, I agree. I do agree. And yeah, maybe it's just a skill issue. Maybe it's a skill issue for us.
Brandon, would you mind looking up dating app usage in the last 5 years? I'd be interested to see if it's increased or decreased. I think I've heard that it's actually decreased.
Good.
Defund
big date.
But I don't know if I ever finished my thought. The reason I brought up the whole Bible thing is because I think that's going to be the same trend for this. I think that people are having fun, swiping Tinder, hooking up with people. It was all fun and games, but now people are getting older. Gen Z is getting older.
Yeah, now it's time to lock it in a little bit.
People's biological clocks are ticking, and it's time to actually get serious.
Dating app revenue is gone. Oh, that's 20. Well, I guess, what's going to change? 2023. Yeah, it's gone up. My my brother's
Now downloads have gone down.
downloads have gone
So we're looking
down.
at some stats here. It looks like revenue has gone up for dating apps.
Yeah, we'll put
Users
this
have
in the
gone
pod.
up, but downloads have gone down. So
Yeah, there's more to life than Tinder, man. I mean, there's only so much I can say about it. I'm not a dating guru, and I'm not trying to be, but
is there another website brand? I'd be interested to cross-reference that. So my point stands. I genuinely think that this is temporary. I don't think that this is
Yeah.
forever. Because, like I just said, our generation is getting older and we just want connection, man. Like,
yeah, I think it's fun in games now. But like you said, I think as we get older, I've certainly gotten to that point where it's like, okay, yeah, like whatever. But it's when you start to get older, it's time to lock it in a little bit. And it's time to, put those big boy pants on. You're not a boy anymore, you're a man.
younger adults are the largest user group, 18 to 29, with roughly half having tried at least one dating app. I believe it. Just why not? Just download it, create a profile. Like, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I've heard people like, the dating gurus talking about how you need to max out your Tinder profile to get like optimized matches. I feel like,
Oh, God.
and I'm listening to this, I'm like, I feel like if you're going through that much trouble where you're hiring a professional photographer to come out and get professional shots of you, and at that point, I feel like it would just be easier to take that money, buy some nice clothes, and just go do it yourself.
Just go, like, join clubs and meet people.
That's the hardest part, is finding shared interests of people and just doing that stuff. Like, I've thought about doing volleyball, joining some kind of league and doing volleyball, not even to meet women, but just to do it and meet people in general. Like, we all share a common interest.
Yeah.
We're all there for a common thing. So
Makes
we all have
sense.
one thing in common.
Yeah.
I don't know, I feel like that's how the magic works, and
That's how it's always been done.
that's how it's always been done.
Downloads
So,
are starting to fall. The popularity of dating apps has remained steady despite a slight decline in overall downloads in recent years. Dating app downloads mostly steady in post-Tinder decade. Annual downloads for dating apps in the United States have more than doubled from 2012 to 2023, but have declined in recent years. But I mean, it makes sense because, like, 2012, how old were we?
we were in 5th grade.
We were in 5th grade. So
So-
I was 8, right? We were 8.
No, we were probably 9 or 10.
I don't know. We were young. Now, 2025, I'm 22. Our generation grew up, downloaded dating apps. I mean, this all makes sense, but
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, within the next 5 years, I genuinely believe that this will decline. I do.
Just in time for us to sneak in there. Or I'll just be the cool uncle the rest of my life.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I
Well, yeah.
mean, it kind of goes hand in hand with what we always talk about is what would you do if you weren't afraid?
Yeah.
Do things that make you uncomfortable. And
That's
if,
the 2025 motto right there.
if you like something, man, pursue it.
Go
And
grab it.
if you are interested in somebody, approach them. They might tell you no. They might call the cops on you. You won't know until you try. So
Yeah,
go
the worst
for
they
it.
can say is no or call the cops on you. Just try and make it a no and not the cops showing up. But yeah, that's kind of D and I's pursuit this year, because we firmly believe that we can't talk about something and give advice about something if we aren't doing it or have experienced it. So
Specifically with doing things that, we're afraid of.
right. So like, we're not going to sit here and give you guys dating advice because I don't know what I'm doing.
I don't know what I'm doing either.
So
None of this is advice. This is me just giving perspective, I
maybe
suppose.
check back in a year. Dean and I, our motto this year is what would you do if you weren't afraid? So we're going to do a bunch of cool stuff this year. And maybe we'll have some solid lady advice for you next year.
We'll see.
But yeah, stay tuned. But yeah, that's our commentary this week. We're gonna take something off the table now, I think.
Yeah, it's time to
I
cancel
think it's
something.
about time.
Off the table.
Get it off. So,
All right, this one should be an easy one. I'm just going to get right to it. Left lane hogs. My goodness. I was driving to work yesterday, and there's just something that when I see somebody in front of me swerve into the left lane, and there's nobody in the right lane, they're just getting into the left lane, and then they go nice and slow.
Yeah.
Ooh, it ignites
Or like
me, man.
a rolling roadblock. Yeah.
But
If you're in the
people-
left lane, you gotta pass.
But people who, they get into the left lane, and then they don't pass. This This right here,
This.
it's two semi trucks going the same speed.
Yeah, and one's going like 66, the other's going 65, and there's 18 cars behind it just trying to get past.
But semis, I get. You know, it's a huge thing. It's annoying, but it's a giant truck. Like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
If you're in a Toyota Sienna and you slide over to the left to try and get around this friggin' Nissan Rogue and you're going 67 and the speed limit is 70,
Yep. I had this guy. I was going home one day as a 2-lane. There was a guy that was just putzing. We were on a 1-lane. We made a right onto a 2-lane street, and this guy, he stays in the right lane, and then another guy comes and he gets in the left lane, and him and the guy who was going slow in the right lane are now going the same speed. It's a rolling roadblock. So finally, the guy in the left lane gets over. I get into the left lane, and I start to speed up and go past the slowpoke in the right lane. And he flips me off and starts yelling at me to respect the speed limit, and then flies past me like 80 miles an hour.
yeah.
People, man, people are crazy. But yeah, there's like no courtesy. I've heard that Germany is very good about driving. I've heard Germany is like, they respect the rules of the road over there.
United States is behind.
No, yeah, the
Very behind on that.
United States hasn't gotten that memo yet, but apparently Germany, they take their driving pretty seriously over there.
But the left lane is not meant to be something you just camp in. It's supposed to be something that you use to get around. Like, I'll get around people in the left lane, and then if the right lane's open, go back to the right lane. In case there's somebody that wants to pass me. Like, it's as easy as it is. But the people, dude, when I'm driving and the road's completely open and there's just someone teetering along in the left lane, get over.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
It's people, man.
You've been driving for 35 years and you don't know how to drive on the highway.
Yeah.
Like, God.
That really just kind of sums it up there.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure there's much else to add to that.
No, that's
Just be good on the road, man.
be better.
Yep. So fasting, respect the rules of the road, and a previous theme we had in our previous podcast, ask her out, bro.
Yeah, ask her out.
That's our podcast.
Thanks for listening. If
Yep.
you made it this far, you're a real one, and we really appreciate you.
Yeah, we do.
Don't be afraid to subscribe. It's not scary. It actually helps us out quite a bit, and it gives Brandon a job. So
Yeah.
go ahead and subscribe. He needs it. He begs you.
Every subscriber we gets Brandon closer to a job, aka we let him out of the basement.
Yep.
And he gets to see his family again. So
So if you want Brandon to see his family again, go ahead and subscribe.
yeah, well, we won't let that happen until we get to 1 million subscribers. So you guys better get chopping over there.
Yeah.
Brandon begs you.
Thanks for tuning in.
That's it.